I am going to make some stands for our little robot chicken figures. I have already cut up a little bit of wood this morning on the table saw, some MDF. We'll go take a look at that. I have cut a couple little squares here of MDF. Basically, I've got a thin piece, what is this, 1/4 inch, and then it's 1/8 inch, I don't know, 1/4 inch maybe, and 1/2 inch. And basically, I'm just gonna adhere this, glue this down with some wood glue to the top so it's got a nice square edge. But before I do that, I'm going to use the router and I'm going to round off all of these corners so that it just has a little bit better, I don't know, better quality display look. Now to round these edges, I am just going to use a hand router with a rounded bit here. I think this is like a 1/4 inch. Could be wrong, maybe it's a little bit more, 3/8 of an inch. I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. It's not to be precise, it's just to hopefully look good. I'm just going to slap some wood glue on the back of this one. Totally exciting. Now, some people like to coat both pieces, and I do it from time to time, but I think for this, just one side will be totally fine. And I could also tack this in place with some of these little, I have these little tiny pin nails and an air-powered nail gun, which I should do a review on. It's actually pretty good, and it was very cheap at Harbor Freight, and it is great for stuff like this. So anyway, I got some extra glue poking out around the sides. I'll just try to wipe this off. All right, so the next step is I'm going to prime this guy. Get the camera a little closer here with Rust-Oleum Auto Primer. I'll do a few coats, top and bottom. I'm probably not going to show the whole thing. Because it's pretty redundant. You can see I put it up on some old pieces of silicone here just to keep it off of this trash can, which is what I use to paint on quite regularly. With MDF, when you paint it with the primer like this, it sucks up the paint a little bit, so I do a pretty liberal coating on the outside here and let it dry, sand it, and then I do 1 or 2 more coats just until all these little rough fuzzies kind of go away. And usually after the first coat, those come off real easy. It like hardens the surface a little bit. Just having the paint kind of makes the sandability different than just using straight MDF. So, all right, move on to that in a bit. See this thing all smoothed out shortly. So we have the primed surface. You can see there's some little roughness on there. So we're just gonna hit it with a sanding block real quick. You don't have to do this too much. You just want to knock down any surface texture, give it a nice flat, smooth finish like this. And it's hard to tell on camera, but it's a world of difference from where it was a minute ago. You can see the texture on the side, and once it's painted, this stuff buffs down really quickly. So basically, I'll just sand it till it's pretty smooth. Knock down any weirdness. This helps get rid of the boogers at the edges. Now I could do 1 more coat of primer. This is pretty smooth now. I want the top to be nice and smooth. When you use a sanding block like this, don't push down really hard in the block. Just push light, and it'll keep its shape better. And that way you won't round off your corners, which is something you probably don't want to do. And I usually will prime these kind of stands. I would do 1 more coat of primer, 1 more sanding, and then probably do the black coat. But what I'm going to do right now is get this prepped so it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to drill a hole in the back for the peg, and establish that part, and I'll probably just go right to the black. I don't think it's going to need another sanding. It's not too bad right now, and I think the black coat will be fine. I'll probably sand that a little bit too, so we have a nice finish. So there's our base. I put a little center line mark here, and I blocked this off because I'm doing a couple others. I have three more of these, and they are all basically I want them to be the same depth. So kind of line this guy up here. A little laser in focus. I don't know. Now this is set to not go all the way through, even though it has a little laser guide. I still like to run the bit down and check. There we go. Got a hole. Now this should, if I did this right, this should fit this little pole just perfectly. There we go. So this is what's left of that. I think it's either a tent pole or a hiking stick. Might be a tent post, I'm not sure. Found this at Mount Baldy. I cut the other ones to length already. I'm going to cut this one on the bandsaw in a second, and it should be the right height. And we'll have a nice straight little stand, and these are, you can see, I think it's carbon fiber. It's really strong, and it sparked a little bit when I cut the other ones on the bandsaw, so I'll get this one cut. So we got this little metal piece left. Don't need that. Got our stand. And then there's the full length, and I just need to make a little capper for it, and I'll start painting this black now. I'm using Krylon Max. This is gloss black. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to be sanding the finish. I'm starting with the bottom. All right, so it's painted here, and it's glossy. I'm gonna hit it with this sandpaper. Okay, so now the part is all sanded and looks really nice. I ended up having to do one more coat of paint and resand again because I wore through just a little tiny bit on one edge trying to smooth it out because it had all these rough patches on the surface. We have our little post, which is going to go in here like this. Now I need to make a topper for this, and I have decided that I'm going to use some of this fish pump tubing and put a coat hanger in there so you can shape it and bend it without it being sharp. I don't want any sharp ends to poke into the little figures. So I need to make a way to mount this. So I think I'm going to 3D model and print a little piece which will fit across here and then hold this rubber tubing in place with the coat hanger inside so that it's posable. Well, it should be good. So let's go model that part. I have put these things out here on the monitor on my printing computer. So I'm in the way here, but you can see they're here. I have run them through the slicer. Here's the print preview. And I have just sent them to print. So I think they should start here any moment. It's going over here. I'm printing in ABS. I haven't done this in a while. I forgot how much this stuff stinks. So the part's printed. They came out fine. Here's what they look like. You can see there's quite a bit of lines in here. I need to adjust my settings for the ABS, but that's not important right now. What's important is I have the hole for the air tubing and a hole for the stand. So I put one on here already. You can see it fits at the top, just like this. Another thing we're going to do really quick that'll help make the stand nice is put some felt feet on the bottom corners here, because this will prevent it from scratching any furniture, and it makes it feel nice. When you put the display down, it feels more refined, I guess is the word. So I'm just gonna put one in each corner. This will do the trick for sure. It doesn't need very much, but this keeps that clackety sound to a minimum. So there they are. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but when I put this down, it's real nice compared to like that. It's pretty cool. So anyway, let's go set up the top portion. I have run the tubing through, and I'm going to figure out the length I need and then cut this down to fit. So figure it will stand about like this. You can see it comes up to about his mid-back, just about armpit level.
and I want this to bend around just under the arms, just to give it a little extra support. So here's what I came up with. This is about a 1/4 inch shorter than I initially intended, but when I put the figure on there, it showed too much under the arms and it looked weird. So I decided to adjust that down, leave it out. Here's how the figure is going to fit. Basically, it just like cradles the back, and it keeps them from falling side to side, and block it just in case I have an accident here on the screen. But he's pretty stable standing upright, but this is just a little place to put him. This notch around here is good for if you make a little acrylic case, you can put it around here and it'll accommodate that. So here it is, my 6-inch figure, 6-inch action figure display stand, DIY. Could probably buy one for like $3 and save all that trouble, but I figured I might as well make it myself. So thanks for stopping by. I'll see you guys soon.
Let me see. It's a common theme.